let's talk about the Tinman situation, the Tinman story. We were going to talk about it on Monday, and then news broke, so we waited. We run low on time, but we can put up here the statement that Tinman Elite released about how they parted ways with their coach, Tom Schwartz. I'll just read portion of it. He says, it became clear to the team that Coach Schwartz's growing commercial coaching business and other pursuits made him unable to provide the individualized attention that the team needed in order to stay healthy and succeed long term. Despite parting ways with Coach Schwartz, the team has continued to uphold the mutually agreed upon compensation we committed to provide in our initial coaching agreement, providing him time and support as he determines his next steps. We wish Coach Schwartz well and thank him for his time with the team. And then they say they're focused on the trials. But then shortly after that, there was his wife, Let's Run, wrote an article. I guess it aggregated, posted on the message board. But basically, there was a bullet point response to what happened. I'm not going to read all 12 bullet points. It was rather detailed in some instances, and in other parts it was somewhat vague, alluding to like, well, I wonder if this person wasn't involved, then maybe they wouldn't have left Coach Schwartz, and they don't really name the person that's involved. What was your takeaway, Gordon? I'm guessing you read all of the bullet points and the 1,000+ word response here from Schwartz's wife.
Well, here's the thing. I think it's kind of ridiculous what's going on the more and more you think about it. Because I forget who I'm trying to find the person who tweeted something. I can't remember the person, so I won't say it. But it is weird that if you read, first of all, Schwartzman's wife was like using the words fact, this, fact, this, fiction, this. It's like a little crazy. And basically, it definitely read that at least Schwartz's wife really reads the comments. She's really into the comments. She really reads the message thread. That she reads the boards, which is kind of like, hey, you probably shouldn't do that, and you shouldn't let a bunch of teenagers or whoever is commenting like, LOL, Tinman sucks or whatever. You shouldn't let that be reality, because it's not reality. The reality is the people who are around you and the people who actually care about what you're doing. You shouldn't let anonymous posters affect your well-being. But yeah, anyway, basically, Tammy, first of all, number one, why are we hearing from the wife of Tinman and not from Tinman himself? And also, number two, why are we hearing from the mother of Drew Hunter and not Drew Hunter himself? It's very weird. It's like a game of telephone of what is going on here. This is what I think. I could be wrong. I'm not reporting this. This is just Gordon's opinion of what I think is happening. I think Drew Hunter and their team, the Tinman Elite people, I think they felt that Coach Schwartz wasn't doing things that the way they wanted it to be done. And I think at first, when they were young and didn't have as much power, and just like, yeah, when like your freshman year, you're listening to everything your coach says, right? Freshman year, coach, you say everything, yeah, okay. But then by the time senior year, you feel like you know yourself better than your coach knows you. So you feel like you can kind of do things more on your own. And I think that the athletes kind of felt more empowered as years went on to be like, hey, we want to do this solo now. We don't need you anymore. Thanks. Have a good one. And unfortunately, the way Tinman Elite's whole team was structured was not a typical way it happens. It wasn't structured from top down. It was structured from bottom up. And by that, I mean Drew Hunter, who is the athlete, was in charge as opposed to the brand and the coach being in charge. And because of that, the people at top, which was the coach, are expendable. And it makes it's like an upside down pyramid. It's just like, what's going on? And it tipped over. And now it has this whole thing with he said, she said. You have the coach's wife publicly talking shit on the athlete to be like, oh, Drew was influenced by teammates to make the wrong move. But like, come on, like, we're all adults. Basically, it's a bad breakup, and everyone is going at each other. But I could go on and on. I want to bring up this recent tweet though. Oh, wait, before we put it up, go. Sorry.
Well, no, I was just gonna say, athletes hire coaches, right? The coach, when you get to a pro, the coach works for the athlete. So that's important to clarify. But I think you made a good point last episode when you said the difference was here, the coach had to leave the group. The athlete didn't leave the group because of the way the group was structured. And some of the lists in here, like, it obviously had to do with money. She talks about the salary that he got. She talks about the training plans that were sold that he didn't get the money from. That's the coach that the athletes got. Talks about the other, the racing schedule that the athletes would pick and the coach didn't have say in. She talks about the apparel, like sales and everything like that. And then she mentions that the coach got mad about them using inappropriate language on social media. I mean, if this whole thing broke apart because of inappropriate language on social media, then the bond between them really wasn't as close as it was purported to be. That just does not seem to measure up. But here's the key sentence here in what she wrote. I guess we as a family learned a valuable lesson that is to never trust a bunch of 20-year-olds and relocate without a solid contract backed by a lawyer.
Yeah.
Yes, 100%. Why were lawyers involved? Why was there contract here, a clear understanding of what the responsibilities were, who had financial stake in what money was going to go to whom and how? And I think, they needed to clarify that. And from the coaching perspective, like, he needed to clarify that if he wanted stuff involved, like if he wanted the training plan, a portion of the training plans, et cetera, like that needed to be spelled out. Like, they thought that he was just gonna coach this group and there was just gonna be a handshake agreement, a signature on a napkin, and that's it.
How long has Tinman Elite been selling gear and apparel? Like, I mean, over 2 years? I don't know. How long?
Yeah, I mean,
it's
since
not been overnight.
Obviously, right. It's been at least a couple of years.
And it's not until there's a separation when you're going to complain about not getting royalties for your name. It's like, you should have been like, hey, when they made their first T-shirt, you'd have been like, hey, you guys are selling a T-shirt with my name on it. I think we should probably work out an agreement. You guys named this team after me, so I should probably have some licensing deal or whatever. Figure it out, right? And be professional. If we're going to start a business, which is what Tinman Elite did, they literally started businesses. They were selling T-shirts. They were a social media company. They were a production company. They were hiring someone to shoot and edit videos. There's salaries involved. Mm-hmm. You should dot your I's and cross your T's. And I think Tinman Coach Schwartz kind of just took everything for granted and be like, oh yeah, we're just like having fun making T-shirts and we're just like doing this stuff. It's fine. Like, whatever. We're all on the same team. It's like, no, when money is starting to transfer and things are starting to grow, you guys start getting it under you. And if you look at this tweet that we have here, put it up. Apparently, on December 1st of 2020, Tinman Elite filed 3 trademarks for their name. So we put that up. Can we put it up on the screen, Alon? Is Alon there? We might have lost. There he is.
There he is.
So
Alon's done with us.
Right, like,
that was good.
Yeah, Alon's done with us. And I believe if you scroll down, the person who tweeted this is Jeff. He tweeted it. I think it's all on the person who filed the trademark is Drew Hunter. It wasn't Tinman Schwartz. So
interesting.
This happened December 2020, and then apparently this team kind of broke up. Not just today or this past week. It was a few months ago. So this could have been right before it all happened. This is just, you kind of can feel bad for Tom Schwartz, right? Because you could have the perspective he got hoodwinked by a bunch of 20-year-olds, as Tammy, his wife, says. But at the same time, are you really being hoodwinked? You should also try to he had an opportunity to take control of the situation, and he didn't. He let Drew Hunter be in control of the situation. And maybe the reason why Drew was in control of the situation is because he was the one with the big Adidas contract, so he kind of had the power. This whole thing, there's mistakes on both ends. You could argue there's mistakes on Tinman, the athlete side, for letting it get to this and not figuring out a way to, not let the breakup look this bad. Because maybe if they would have been more about the professional side of hey, involving Tinman, and then when we do break up with him, it's a lot more amicable, the way when a normal athlete leaves a different training group, there's no oh my God, Colleen Quigley left Bowerman. It's all right, no, it's just Colleen Quigley left Bowerman because she wants something different.
Yeah.
Kate Grace left Bowerman because she wants something different. So
here's the thing, though. When you make a statement I guess we learned never to trust a bunch of 20-year-olds without a lawyer, I'm going to err on the side of thinking, yes, you're correct, and that's on you, right? As a professional coach, as someone who aspires to be a professional coach, as someone who already is a professional coach in some capacity, the online coaching, right? He's getting money from high school athletes and athletes that are farther along in their career, that you should have this stuff written out if that's your desire. Somebody here, Mike, on the chat question, you think the origin of the feud is results driven? I mean, I think it's both, right? I mean, if they're smashing PRs week after week, you can figure out a way to make it work, because then everybody's happy. I think when there's some discontent, I think it spreads, and then there's the whole lack of respect, and then all that stuff that grows. But I think it is related to both. But obviously, if you had, if they were performing better on the track as well too, I think some of it would not have seemed as bad, because it seemed like everybody was just, there were a lack of respect going around, or a feeling of a lack of respect. But it's I don't know what to say when it's you're trying to be a professional coach, right? And she talks about he only got a beginning teacher salary. Listen, first of all, as someone who was a beginning teacher at one point, salary wasn't great, but detract.
That's a low-key dunk on teachers, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I don't appreciate it. Number one, but okay, so you're getting paid a beginning teacher salary to coach this group, and then you're also continuing to coach your other athletes with your online coaching business. You're making a living. Are you getting enough? Well, I mean, that's for you and the group to decide. But look, how many people were sponsored in this group? How much money did they have in this group? First of all, they weren't flush with cash, right? Drew was getting an Adidas contract. Hunter had an Adidas contract. Parsons have an Adidas contract? Maybe. But then there's...
Maybe.
Well, and in the beginning, maybe not. Maybe since then he has. But you had this whole, like you said, a business, right, that they were creating that was supporting all these other athletes and all these other endeavors. I don't think anybody was really getting rich off of this group. And there's not that many pro coaches out there who are making I hate to disabuse people of that notion right now, but a ton of money in the sport. So if you're making even a quote unquote beginning teacher salary as a baseline, and then you're making more money on top of that because of other coaching gigs that you have, you're not too far out of the ordinary when it comes to pro coaching.
I was talking to someone about this whole situation, and Tinman Elite is a very polarizing team. Like I said from a podcast or two ago about how people like to dunk on their whenever they don't do well, and people kind of jealous of their success on social media and all that stuff. And I argued that they're probably more successful in my mind to Bowerman because they have a business model that is growing their brand as opposed to Bowerman isn't really growing their brand as much. They're definitely better athletically, but that only moves the needle so much in this generation of people who want to see things on the internet and all that good stuff. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is I think there are a lot of people who are Tinman supporters and a lot of people Tinman Elite. There were a lot of people who were Tinman Elite fans and a lot of people who were Tinman Elite anti-fans, right? And after this whole situation, the same people who supported Tinman Elite are going to continue to support Tinman Elite, and the same people who didn't like Tinman Elite are just going to have this little extra reason not to like Tinman Elite. Nothing is changing here with the demographics of the fandom of Tinman Elite. Like, the people who liked them before are going to still like them after. People who didn't like them before aren't going to like them after.
Right.
And the world's going to keep going round, and these guys are going to continue to train. Like, they're not, like, life is like, we're going to forget. Yeah. Like, this is going to be old news, and, like, life is going to move on.
Why do people not like them? Because they post online. That's it. That's the reason why. And people, because there's such a vacuum.
And they try.
And they try. Oh, my goodness. Oh, heavens. They put posts on Instagram.
Fast. Oh, no.
Oh, how dare they? I mean, listen, it's kind of crazy, but there's such a vacuum in the sport of people who put their stories out there that anybody that does, you immediately get that 50-50 polarization of a bunch of people love it, and then the other half just hates on it. Just because it's out there, just because there's nothing else to comment on. But you have to ask yourself with this, like, why are people so mad about them? Like, what is it that engenders like such a backlash? Like, you can say, oh, they should be faster. Well, I'm sure they would say that themselves. Everybody wants to be faster. Welcome to professional running. Everybody wants to be faster, wants to make more money, and wants to win more medals. You're not saying anything novel at that point. All they're doing is just trying to improve and posting it online, which is exactly what most people would do given the situation, right? All the people sitting commenting, I'll do it too. I mean, I'm sure everybody posts on Strava and comments on their own social media when they run their 17-minute 5K, right? But like when they do it, all of a sudden it's people get angry about it. It's pretty incredible. And then if you're gonna take an oppositional point of view in this case, it's like, all right, well, so you're of the agreement that this thing broke up because they cussed in their social media posts. Like, that's where you want to land. That's who you want to roll with in this argument. Like, I mean, what are we doing here? I don't know. The relationship ran its course. The relationship ran its course, right? And that's fine. Yeah. Listen, Jenny Simpson switched coaches. She's got a gold medal and a bunch of other medals. Matt Centrowitz has switched coaches. He's got a gold medal, right? I mean, this stuff happens. Emma Coburn has switched coaches. She has a gold medal. Switching coaches happens. It's not a big deal. Difference is here, all the dirty laundry is aired, and now we have patents being posted online and 13 bullet points written. That's the only difference here, is there's just all the dirty laundry is being aired. But the idea that you change a coach is not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
Hey, for the record, Sam, I'm not taking shots at a 17-minute 5K. I cannot run a 17-minute 5K right now. All I'm saying is,
do you know who can run a 17-minute 5K?
JoJo can run a 17-minute 5K. We all know that, Gordon. Okay, so all I'm saying is, everybody's posting everything for the most part. So why do we not expect pros to post when it's their job to post?
Yep.
If you're not offended by your friend posting about their turkey trot results, why are you getting so mad about a professional group who has a financial interest in sharing their story posting? That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. It's the equivalent of people say you can't have a brand unless you are literally Olympic champions. Like, it's like only people who can do brand things are Bowerman and the Ineos guys breaking two. You need to break two in the marathon. Yeah, Kipchoge and Bolt. They're the only ones who are allowed to have a brand and be professionals. If you're a 13:30 5K runner, you can't do that, apparently, according to the rules of the unwritten rule book. Stupid. Come on. You
But
can do whatever you
like,
want.
here's the
It's
thing.
the internet.
Those are the people who don't need to post on social media because they have so much money
Yeah.
coming from other spaces. How many tweets has Kawhi Leonard sent in his life? Right? He doesn't need to. Eliud Kipchoge doesn't need to tweet. He's still going to tweet. Bolt's still going to tweet, but they don't need to. The people who need to are the people, the big cross section of not perennial gold medal winners and everybody else. That's the people who need to, because they're the ones who are trying to make it in the sport and make a living. I don't know. It's interesting. Samuel also says technically high school coaches make a salary. They do. But here's the thing. Teach all day long. That's their job. They're not just coaching. So they're getting paid to teach as well. So if you get a teacher salary, but you're not teaching, you're doing pretty well. You're doing pretty well because you're not writing lesson plans for 6 periods a day of English 9 and English 9 honors. You're not doing that, right? You're just coaching. I think people would be, I mean, tell me if I'm wrong here, Gordon. You've been around this longer than I have. Wouldn't people be surprised if they found out how much money most professional coaches make, or just professional people in the sport make? Would they not be surprised that it's not as high as they think?
Yeah. And can I have can I do a confession? Can I have a confession? With this whole Tinman Elite name. Yeah, no, I've never run a 17. No, I ran 17:30 maybe.
Definitely not at the MLB Fan Cave. Yeah.
No, definitely not that. But when I was just honest, maybe I am naive and I should have known this, but I didn't know Tinman Elite's name came from the nickname of their coach. I just thought it was their name. And so I think there's a lot of people who are probably like me who don't really associate Tinman Elite, I mean, now I know, so I do associate it, but maybe they don't really associate the phrase Tinman Elite to like the way Bowerman is, because you know Bowerman is like the famous Bowerman coach, right? Yeah. So I don't know. I think it's in the end, we're just gonna move on. Coach Tom Schwartz continue to coach high school kids around the country to 4 flat miles, and it's gonna be great for him. And Tinman Elite will continue to do their thing. They'll continue to win races and continue to lose races, and the world will continue to go around, and we will find a new thing to freak out about on the internet in a few weeks. That's what's going to happen. So
in the running world specifically.
Yeah, in the running world.
And people get mad about people posting on the internet.